Hey friend, how are you? I hope you're well. Today I want to talk to you about the importance of focusing on your unique path to your God-given destination. Story time. So in 2018, I believe it was, my sister and I were going to a wedding, and when we were getting dressed and ready, she put on this red dress and she was like, I'm gonna meet my husband in this dress. And I just looked at her and continued doing my makeup. And lo and behold, at that wedding, she met her now husband. And this story is a testimony. It's a testament to just belief. It's divine alignment and all of those beautiful things. And at the same time, it is her unique story and path. What I've noticed is that sometimes when we hear people's stories, when we see from the outside the good of what they have, what they tell us, or just what we're seeing, right? It gets us so excited that we can sometimes begin to idolize the path in which God used to get them there instead of focusing on the God that actually got them there. So when it comes to my sister's situation, an example of idolizing the path would be me, who's looking for companionship and a husband, going out and buying a red dress or a midi dress, something that aligns with what she had, and wearing it out and starting a red dress ministry in hopes that this red dress will attract to me my husband. And that sounds ridiculous, but it's something that we often do. We ask people, what were you doing? What were you wearing? You know, all of these weird superstitions. And at the end of the day, those are ways that God's hand is manifesting in that person's life. And it might not be the way it manifests in your life. It's just like the same thing with people saying, Sierra, sis, give us your prayer. Give me Sierra's prayer. You don't need Sierra's prayer. You need to pray on your own behalf for your version of what God has for you. Because when we begin to idolize what people have, what we're forgetting is that we're not seeing the whole picture. And sometimes what people are doing to get the things that they're getting are not things that we want to do. And that's not even to shade anybody. But at the end of the day, I don't want your blessing. I want my version of it that looks like mine, and I need to be open to the fact that that's going to come in any way, shape, and form that God decides it's going to come. And all I want to do is trust God and say, you know what, God, hands off the wheel. You said this is for me, so it's going to come in due time, and I trust you to bring it and take me along for the ride to the best destination ever. What I've learned through my whole life, essentially, and especially more recently, the journeys that I've been on with my business and just growing, is that God will tell you the what, and it's up to you to have faith for the how. Don't look at other people's how and decide that that's the only way it can happen for you. And don't get so fixated on one path, even if that path begins to look like it's going to give you what you want, because sometimes there's a lot of counterfeits. And I think something that I've been noticing lately is that right when you're inches away from your breakthrough, that's usually when you start to encounter low-hanging fruit and last-ditch effort counterfeits trying to really block you from what you want. And these counterfeits tend to align with your weaknesses, you know? So maybe there was some guy who you were so interested in years ago, and for whatever reason it didn't work, and then now you're in this like great place, and then that's when he happens to notice you, and you're like, man, like a version of me in the past would have been like geeked at this, but no, he's not him, you know? And being able to discern what is for you and what isn't, what looks good and what isn't, is the most important part of truly trusting in God, because the devil's going to bring you some gold plated, but God is always going to bring you the real deal. But you need to be able to put that metal detector of discernment out and really determine which one is which, so you don't end up idolizing the version of somebody else's so much so that you can be tricked by it. So I say all of this to say, friend, that you don't need Sierra's prayer. Go pray your own. You're not going to necessarily meet someone the way your friend met someone, and that's okay. You do not need a red dress ministry because somebody else found their husband in their red dress. You do not need to idolize the ways in which God works because you're never going to understand. His ways are above your ways. So to try and take one example of his way and use that to justify why you're now stuck on the fact that that's the only way it's going to happen to you is you doing yourself a disservice and also limiting God. Because if you're hell bent that this is the only way it's going to happen to you, when the actual way it's coming to you, your version of it is like hovering around trying to get your attention. You're too busy shopping on Pretty Little Thing trying to get a red dress, but you should be focusing on maybe going to Starbucks or whatever else it is that's your path, So don't make an idol of things. And I wouldn't have even thought that this is idolizing until I had to just take a good look at myself and realize that there are a few things like that where instead of me looking and trusting God, I'm trusting a direct path, a certain destination, or a certain path to get to a destination, so much so that I've put that in more importance than God. And that's not the hierarchy, right? You don't care about the creation more than the creator. So this is just a little self-check reminder. It's a short video, but I just want you to remember that you need to trust God's hand, not the path that he's taking. And if there's anything in your life that you're just determined that this is the only way it can go, check yourself. That might be you idolizing the journey, and you need to not do that. You need to be faithfully expectant of the destination because that's what God promised, and faithfully relinquish the power for God to do it in whatever way he thinks is best for you, because at the end of the day, that is going to be the way that's best for you anyway. So I hope that this helps, and I hope that this gives you some perspective. And if you love it, subscribe. If you like it, like. And if you think that this would be beneficial to a friend of yours and just give them a new perspective, please share it with them. And I want you to continue to be kind to yourself because you're a work in progress, making progress. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.